US President Donald Trump has revoked the sanctions waiver granted to India about the Chabahar port. Trump's sanctions on India's Chabahar port project went into effect on 29th of September 2025. This comes after Trump hit India with a series of sanctions. First, by imposing 50% tariffs on Indian imports because of our oil trade with Russia. Then, the latest blow, a massive $100,000 fee for every new H-1B visa application. And now, ending the waiver on the Chabahar port project. The waiver that had been in place since 2018 is now gone, leaving New Delhi in a tough spot, forced to balance its regional strategy with the risk of American penalties. But why is Trump revoking the sanctions waiver? For the unversed, the waiver was first granted in 2018 and then it was renewed by former US President Joe Biden in 2021. In 2018, Chabahar was seen as India's big gateway to Afghanistan. But things changed. The Taliban's return in 2021 weakened Chabahar's importance as a route to Kabul. And unlike earlier US administrations, Trump has taken a tougher line with India. According to State Department spokesman Tommy Pigott, the exemption originally granted to support Afghanistan's reconstruction was no longer valid after the Taliban's return to power. The revocation is consistent with President Trump's maximum pressure policy to isolate the Iranian regime, Pigott said. So apparently, the decision is part of President Donald Trump's so-called maximum pressure campaign against Tehran. For the unversed, the waiver was first granted in 2018 and then it was renewed by former US President Joe Biden in 2021. Earlier, the US Department of State has said in a statement that once the revocation of sanctions waiver would go into effect on 29th of September, persons who operate the Chabahar port or engage in other activities described in Iran Freedom and Counter-Proliferation Act may expose themselves to sanctions. Now the question is, what do these sanctions mean for India? As these sanctions have taken effect, Indian entities including state-run India Ports Global Limited now have 45 days to exit or risk asset freezes and exclusion from the US financial system. If we take a look back, India has been operating Shahid Beheshti Terminal at Chabahar, which enables India to establish trade routes and send humanitarian aid to Afghanistan, taking an alternative route to Pakistan. This terminal is managed by India's state-operated Indian Ports Global Limited. Chabahar also functioned as a strategic counter to China's Gwadar port in Pakistan. For reference, Chabahar and Gwadar ports are merely 170 kilometers apart. It also functioned as a crucial center for the international North-South transport corridor. This multi-modal transport initiative aimed to establish connections between India, Iran, Russia, and Central Asia. Responding on the sanctions, India's Foreign Ministry spokesperson Randhir Jaiswal said New Delhi was still examining the implications of the US decision. The Chabahar port also becomes important for India as India signed a 10-year pact pledging $370 million to operate the strategically vital Chabahar port in Iran, aiming to boost trade with Central Asia. The agreement was signed last year. Over the past decade, India has spent over approximately $500 to $600 million at Chabahar to improve connectivity to Afghanistan and Central Asia. The port also functions as an important transit point for Indian products seeking entry into Afghanistan and Central Asia. The port is a vital part of the international North-South transport corridor, a 7,200-kilometer long transport network which connects India, Russia, and Iran by road, rail, and sea. Located near both the Strait of Hormuz and the Indian Ocean, Chabahar holds significant strategic importance. The closest Indian port to Chabahar is Kandla in Gujarat, just 550 nautical miles away, while Mumbai lies 786 nautical miles from the port. Its location has drawn strong interest from several Central Asian nations, including resource-rich but landlocked countries like Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan, which see Chabahar as a key route to access the Indian Ocean and tap into the Indian market. Analysts warn that the US move could indirectly strengthen China's position in the region. Chabahar is often seen as India's counter to Pakistan's Gwadar port, which is developed and supported by China as part of its BRI. If India is forced to reduce its presence or investment in Chabahar, China could gain greater control over trade routes, ports, and infrastructure in South and Central Asia. China's Gwadar port, linked with the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, already gives Beijing significant influence over Pakistan and nearby regions. A weakened Indian role at Chabahar could tip the balance in China's favor, allowing it to dominate the trade routes and strengthening political ties in Central Asia. Experts say this could shift regional power dynamics, giving China advantages that were previously contested by India's strategic investments. The sanctions could also have broader implications for global trade. Chabahar provides alternative routes that bypass China-controlled networks, which means if India's role is limited, it could increase dependency on Chinese-led routes. So what is your opinion on Trump's sanctions on Chabahar? Share your thoughts with us in the comment section below.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.